When my father was sick and dying from cancer, he all of a sudden opened these suitcases that had all these family photographs, and they were lying just like this. All these piles and piles of photographs. That's my father right there, his brother, little things like that, formal portraits like that. That's my grandmother. Anyway, just on and on and on, all this sort of stuff. It was just piled in like this, really old cards like this. There's some nice clothing for you. On and on. There's my father, young kid, and so on. And I've never known what to do with all of this stuff, all this old photograph. There's that same guy with his mutton chops again. That's a great-grandfather of mine. My father and his brother. Snapshots. His family took a lot of pictures. On and on and on. That's on the street in Berlin in the 1930s, while it was still safe to be on the street in Berlin. This picture, this is my grandfather right here, Kurt, and his brother Ernst, who died fighting in World War I, and his mother Alice, who died in the Theresienstadt concentration camp, and his sister Carlotta, a photographer who died in Auschwitz. All much later than this, of course. This is probably from 1908 or so. My grandfather was born in 8. This is one of my favorite pictures of my grandparents. This was taken for their wedding day and ended up being on the program for their wedding. This before they were married, I assume, or maybe right after they're married. This is some party in swingin' Berlin in the 1920s with all the men in black tie and all the women, or most of the women, in costumes of some sort, including that amazing wig. And my grandparents are in this face right here. My grandparents are right there. My grandmother, my grandfather. Just a postcard. This is probably, I don't know, kindergarten? It's my father right there. This is also my father, and this is a very sad photograph of him, again taken by his aunt Lotte Freund, the photographer, in 1933. He would have been 3 years old then. And one of the reasons he's so sad is because his mother, my grandmother, was in a sanitarium due to her, quote, delicate condition, unquote, off and on for most of the time when he was 2, 3, 4 years old. And he was without his mother. And one of the odd things that goes along with this picture is that there is also amongst here a postcard from that very sanitarium, that very hospital, that his mother was staying in. Nothing on the back, but just seems odd to me that that would be kept. I mentioned Lotte Freund, Carlotta, my great aunt, was the photographer, and this is a self-portrait. From the 20s or the 30s. There he is with his brother. This is still the original cellophane from whenever this photo was picked up at the developers. This is the pass that my father, even when he was a child, had to carry in Nazi Germany. That's a J for Jew. And this is what he had to carry and show any policeman or anyone else who asked for his papers. Let me see your papers. This is one of the oldest and most interesting and in many ways most valuable documents. This is my grandfather's birth certificate. And he was born, I don't know if you can read this, in 1898. It says 1898 there, in Spain. This is his Spanish birth certificate, handwritten on this incredible old paper with these amazing edges. His parents were in Barcelona when he was born. And here's some German, which comes from the German consulate in Spain, attesting to his Spanish and German citizenship. And this is amazing because in 1898, because my grandfather was born in Spain, he and his family, including my father, his son, qualified to be number 5 on the Spanish quota for Jews entering the United States. This is a copy of the actual quota card that the Freunds had, and you can see Spanish 5, American Consulate, Berlin. Carlotta actually qualified to be on here, but decided not to leave. Meanwhile, on the German quota, Deutschen, the Freunds were 69,227. So, because of this, there was this, and the Freund family came to the United States.